It's rivalry week. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a fun matchup to watch because there are so many interesting storylines leading into this game. For the Minnesota Vikings, you got, can Sam Darnold put the Minnesota Vikings to 4-0? Can he continue his sensational performances on the road against the Green Bay Packers in a quote-unquote hostile environment? But in all seriousness, this will be the most hostile environment the Minnesota Vikings have played in so far all season. First week against the New York Giants, fans were leaving in the third quarter because it was a blowout so early, and there wasn't really going to be any communication issues offensively because the New York Giants fans, as passionate as they are, they still deal with lots of skepticism and disbelief because of who their quarterback is and because of who their team has been for the last 2 years or so. So Sam Darnold is going to be an interesting storyline to watch in this game, as he always is, as the quarterback position is for every single team every single week. Jordan Love is also another storyline to watch in this game because is he going to play? Is he not going to play? It's looking like a game time decision, and the Packers are doing the whole let's just try to make the Minnesota Vikings prepare for both quarterbacks, which the Minnesota Vikings admitted to doing. They said earlier in the week that they are going to prepare for Malik Willis and Jordan Love, which, if you're preparing for two guys, well, you would think that would take less focus on one guy and you got to spread the focus. So maybe the Minnesota Vikings defense won't be as prepared as if they were preparing for one quarterback. But I believe that even though the Minnesota Vikings said that, they have a general understanding or a belief that is going to be a particular quarterback on the Green Bay Packers. I don't think it's very hard to figure out that Jordan Love is going to start for the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. He almost played against the Tennessee Titans last week. He went through the whole pregame routine, and they showed him taking snaps before the game started, and he looked good. He was scrambling, he was moving, and the reason why he didn't play last week against the Tennessee Titans, it's the old, can we get this win with Malik Willis, rest our guy one more week? We don't want to rush him back and get him back for the big game against the Minnesota Vikings. And it turned out to be true. The Tennessee Titans are hot garbage right now, and playing Malik Willis and giving him a second chance to start versus his former team was enough for the Green Bay Packers to beat the crappy Tennessee Titans. So good decision by them. So Jordan Love is going to play on Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings, and I would be completely shocked if he didn't. This is going to be a big game because this is what separates you in the standings. You got the Vikings 3-0, Packers are 2-1, Lions are 2-1, and the Chicago Bears are 1-2. But you look at these games at the end of the season, and these are the games that, you gain 2 games on an opposing team, you gain, or you are going to be tied. It's obvious, but it's a fact. The Minnesota Vikings could move to 4-0, and the Green Bay Packers could move to 2-2, or both teams could be 3-1 at the end of this game. The Green Bay Packers are favored by 3 points, so this is going to be the third straight week that the Minnesota Vikings entered the week as underdogs via DraftKings. Against the Niners were 4.5-point favorites. Against the Houston Texans, I think the Houston Texans were 2.5 or 3-point favorites. And the Minnesota Vikings were at home in those games. Now, going on the road, it makes sense that the Green Bay Packers are going to be favored, and they are favored by a field goal. Another interesting storyline to watch, Justin Jefferson versus Jaire Alexander. Jefferson made some comments about this matchup last week. He talked about how Jaire Alexander cares about this matchup more than Justin Jefferson does. Jaire Alexander likes to get inside the head of Justin Jefferson. and Justin Jefferson kind of poo-pooed it. Alexander likes to give it a little shove, a little push to try to get inside the head of a wide receiver, kind of like a 90s basketball player talking smack. So historically, Justin Jefferson has gotten the most out of Jaire Alexander. And there's some highlights of Jefferson going against Alexander where he just completely smokes him. And Alexander's a little cocky SOB and thinks he can lock down JJ. And he is a very good corner. But it's so interesting because there's games where Alexander looks like a top 3 corner in the league. He had a pick 6 against Will Levis last week. And then there's games where he can't even stick with his wide receiver. So I don't know if he has a switch that he flips in terms of his effort from plays here and plays there. But Justin Jefferson has had no problem getting separation and space from Alexander when these two guys have faced off. But the biggest storyline is the Jordan Love storyline. But another storyline to focus on is Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison. He commented earlier this week that he's ready to go, and he is going to play on Sunday at Lambeau Field. And that's a big deal because that gives the Minnesota Vikings another offensive weapon that the Green Bay Packers have to deal with. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jalen Naylor, then you got Brandon Powell, but it just adds another big piece offensively to defeating the Green Bay Packers by having wide receiver 2 back for the Minnesota Vikings. And Jordan Addison with a bummed out ankle, which he wasn't 100% for the Giants game, played really well until he got injured again, until he hurt his ankle again, and then had to miss the last 2 weeks. But it's big to have him back. And then the fun storyline to look and watch for in this game is Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones wants to get his revenge against the Packers. He wrote a beautiful piece in the Players Tribune this week talking about his love for Green Bay. Matt LaFleur talked about how he still loves Aaron Jones, still one of his favorite players to coach ever. And he said he was going to do the Lambeau leap into Minnesota Vikings fans if he scores a touchdown. And that the Minnesota Vikings are going to do everything in their power to get Aaron Jones in that end zone because, as much as everyone says it's all love, there's still a lot of inside frustrations, inside bitterness where Aaron Jones wants to, shove it in Green Bay's ass. And we all feel that way. It's just a human feeling. So it's not anything bad that Aaron Jones, feels that way. It's not a bad thing. It's just a human thing. If you're going to go against your former team, you have a little extra edge in you. You saw it from Jonathan Greenard last week against the Houston Texans. He wanted to beat those guys badly, even though they didn't leave on bad terms. It's just the way it is. So Aaron Jones, I hope he Lambeau leaps. I bet he Lambeau leaps into the end zone, into Minnesota Vikings fans. So it's going to be a fun game to watch because both of these two teams are coached fantastically. Matt LaFleur, what he's done with Malik Willis these last 2 games has been nothing short of amazing. And what he's done with Jordan Love last year, and I'm still not sold on Jordan Love's ability to be the long-term franchise quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, even though he got paid like it. He had one stretch of games last year where he got super hot for 6-7 games and led the Green Bay Packers to the playoffs, but choked it away in the NFC, choked it away in the divisional round to get to the NFC Championship game. So it's going to be a storyline to watch because week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles, albeit in Brazil, Jordan Love had one of the worst passer ratings of week 1. So coming off an injury, missing the last 2 weeks, I'm going to be fascinated by his efficiency, his effectiveness, and the way he's able to play against the stifling top 3 Minnesota Vikings defense so far this season. So Thank you for watching. Those are my storylines to watch for this weekend. Hit that subscribe button right there.